First, I would like to introduce my audience.
Jimmy,
Donna Faye,
Kristen,
Daniel, George,
Gene, Norman.
Henry W. Longfellow once said, "Music is the universal language of all mankind." Music is something that people listen to all over the world. It can be a major influence and carry on for centuries. The Beatles are remembered as the most successful group from the 20th century. The Beatles were established in Liverpool, England in 1957. Today I want to discuss 3 key points: how the Beatles evolved, some of their major accomplishments, and their breakup. According to the Encyclopedia of World Biography, the Beatles started when John Lennon formed his own group called the Quarrymen in 1956. They were originally inspired by the simple guitar and washboard-style skiffle music. Skiffle was a lively type of acoustic music that used songs from British and American folk and popular music. According to the Rolling Stone website, John Lennon was performing with his group, the Quarrymen, at a church picnic in 1957 when he met Paul McCartney. Not long after, Lennon invited McCartney to join his group, and from there they began writing songs together. According to Encyclopedia.com, McCartney loved that Lennon had a band, and Lennon loved that McCartney knew more than 3 guitar chords. McCartney was the guitarist, and his younger schoolmate, George Harrison, was soon recruited as another guitarist. Lennon's art college friend, Stu Sutcliffe, was recruited to play bass. The group played in many Liverpool clubs and eventually hired Pete Best as their drummer. When Sutcliffe died of a brain hemorrhage, McCartney began playing bass. Brian Epstein, a Liverpool record shop owner, was charmed by the quartet's charisma, energy, and humor, and decided to take them on as a manager. Record label EMI signed them in 1962, according to Encyclopedia.com. Pete Best was fired when a comedy and novelty producer agreed to work with the group but wanted to use a session drummer. Liverpool drummer Ringo Starr of Roy and the Hurricanes was successfully recruited. This was the start of the Beatles, an English rock band with the 4 members being John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr. The Beatles had many accomplishments throughout their career. On January 12, 1963, the Beatles released their first song, Please Please Me, which was an immediate hit in Britain and became their first #1 single, according to the Encyclopedia of World Biography. This was the title of their first album and was #1 on the charts for 6 months. The Beatles got their start in America by The Ed Sullivan Show, the most popular entertainment show on television at the time, according to the Encyclopedia of World Biography. U.S. company Capitol Records launched a promotional campaign. Publicity and the Beatles' American tour opening performance on the show was their start in America. The Beatles' I Wanna Hold Your Hand released in the United States in January of 1964, and it hit #1 within 3 weeks of recording. According to the Rolling Stone website, Can't Buy Me Love became the first record to top American and British charts simultaneously. That same month, they held the top 5 positions on Billboard singles charts with their hits Can't Buy Me Love, Twist and Shout, She Loves You, I Wanna Hold Your Hand, and Please Please Me. 14 of the top 100 songs on the Billboard list of top sellers were the Beatles. According to the Encyclopedia of World Biography, this was a feat that had never been matched before, nor has it since. Also in 1964, the Beatles appeared in the first of several innovative full-length films, like A Hard Day's Night and Help. Ever heard of the saying, all good things must come to an end? Well, according to Encyclopedia.com, the death of the Beatles manager Brian Epstein in 1967 was a blow from which the group was never able to recover. This was the start of the breakup. Epstein had always taken care of business concerns, and and his death caused the four to fight over what was left. Growing differences between artistic approaches also pointed to the Beatles breaking up. Let It Be was a film the Beatles spent months filming and recording. It was supposed to be a film of how the group worked together, but it ended up being a film showing the group falling apart. According to the Encyclopedia of World Biography, by the end of 1970, all four of the Beatles had recorded solo albums, and in 1971, Paul McCartney sued to legally end the group. In conclusion, the Beatles essentially started when John Lennon met Paul McCartney at a church picnic, and the rest is history. They went on to write, record, and perform many hits in both England and America. The Beatles may not have lasted long as a group, but their impact in music is something people still remember and talk about today. Even though they ended with a bad breakup, the Beatles are one of the best-selling groups of all time. They remain to be the most popular band of rock and roll. Thank you.
Jimmy,
Donna Faye,
Kristen,
Daniel. George.
Gene. Norman.